Hello, everybody, and welcome to the sprint. No, SGDQ 2019 is not kicking back up to try to hit 6 million right now. No, this is a bi-weekly podcast we do this every 2 weeks, talking about speedrunning stuff and showing, oftentimes breaking down world records, stuff like that. But this week, we are basically just going to talk about SGDQ the whole time. So if you saw stuff, if you didn't see stuff, hopefully you'll enjoy. We're just going to kind of chat about it and show you a lot of kind of behind the scenes footage and some shots of like different attendee areas in case you weren't an attendee, stuff that you might not always get to see on the main screen. My name is JHobz, and I am joined by three awesome people today. We've got Darkman, Frozen, and YKB, or Yellowkillerbee. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hey.
How goes it?
So yeah, we're basically just gonna, we normally have like a lot of notes for the show and everything and all this stuff prepared, but we're just gonna talk SGDQ because we were all there, and we're just gonna kind of chat about it for the next hour and a half to 2 hours or whatever. So how was GDQ for everybody?
Exhausting and made me sick apparently. Today I hit the sickness point and got to work and was like, yeah, this isn't gonna work, and had to leave.
Oh no.
The classic post GDQ flu.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard about a lot of people having that. I was in denial personally because I was like, oh, my throat is scratchy, but I just yelled a lot at the end and it's fine. And now my nose is stuffed up, and now I just have to finally admit that maybe I'm a little bit sick.
Oh no.
Recovering.
I get lucky. I tend to avoid it somehow. I don't know what it is, but I definitely got a little lucky. I did want to preface one more thing, by the way. All the footage that you're going to see, we're just kind of letting it go. We might talk about something if we see something interesting pop up that we had like a story about or whatever. But for the most part, this was all just recorded as, just extra footage, B-roll footage. So it's all unedited. There might be some like camera shakes and stuff like that here and there. It's just footage we took and we dumped into a folder to show you guys because we thought it was all interesting. Big shout outs to Oggendrocker or Richard and Obidobi for collecting pretty much all this footage, I think, and Fant, he collected some as well. Mm-hmm. So thank you three for all that. But yeah, so should we just kick off with like the obvious? We raised $3 million for charity. Like, did anybody see that coming at all?
There was the hope. I think we talked about it on the show just before. It was like, I mean, the big hope is getting to 3 million, and I think that we all said a gigantic button there. Not sure it's going to happen, but I mean, we made it.
I mean, 3 mils was very, very unlikely at the start of this event. Like, we haven't really had a huge kind of jump in like donations since AGDQ 17. I've had like kind of incremental like increases and whatnot, but we didn't really have that huge jump. So to get it here at SGDQ, where this is the first time ever an SGDQ has raised the most money out of any GDQ event. Now, SGDQ has raised more money than an AGDQ before, but it wasn't like the most money raised ever.
Like the new grand total.
Exactly, the new grand total. So for this to happen here is quite surprising, but I'm also quite happy to see this result.
Yeah, I think the first inkling I had is I think it was like it was at 2.2, and I think it might have been Saturday morning sometime. I don't know the exact time frame, but I was like, oh, okay, well, $1 million final day is not unheard of. Mm-hmm. So like, or it might have even been late Friday, but I was thinking, okay, we're on a really good pace when Friday rolled around, and I thought, well, there's a shot at it. But I have to say, when I walked into the stream room before finale, and I think we had 100 million to go with like 10 minutes left, I was like, I don't know. I still don't know. Even at that point, I wasn't sure if we were actually going to get to 3 million.
Like for me, at the beginning of the week, I was feeling pretty good about like the lineup we had this week and everything, and from my perspective, the pre-show and the interviews, I thought were going to be really interesting and all that. So I was like, cool, I think we're going to raise a lot, and maybe we can reach for 2.5 million. Like 2.5 million would have been incredible. It still would have been a new all-time high, and it would have been a huge jump, talking about like raising 2.5 million before the revenue from like subs and bits and all that. So I was like, that would be an amazing milestone to shoot for, and would be such a huge success if we got that. And then like the collective brain of GDQ people had this brilliant idea. And that was like people had been watching all week long, and this is no like shock. This is all public information, basically, that our donation pace was doing really well, like pretty much all week long. We were on a new best pace ever. And then when we got to the final day, like you were saying, YKB, we hit like 2 million really early in the day and all that. And when we beat AGDQ 2019, when we beat our previous all-time high in like just donations alone, we beat the all-time high including subs and stuff from AGDQ. Several people decided, and Mike explained it on stream, but there was so much screaming, I don't know how many people could hear it, that they were going to add in the extra revenue from everybody who had been subscribing all month long. And I believe there were some other extra revenue things too. But it was
for the first time we added sponsorship money and Twitch revenue together. So that's how you had that big amount. It wasn't like just subs.
Yeah, because it's normally we add all of that after the event. Like all of that still goes to charity normally. It's just that we do it all after the event, and we just look at the like donation total, and then we announce afterwards what the like final total was. And someone was like, if we add all of this stuff in, we're going to be at like 2.7 million. And then maybe everybody can get us there. And it was just like, I was watching in a hotel room at that point and saw the number beat AGDQ 2019 and then jump up 300 grand.
Yeah.
What just happened? Like, everybody shut up. we gotta listen. What just happened? It was insane.
Everybody in the board game room was going crazy because they were like, oh, we just beat the total, because they had the stream kind of going in the board game room. And then like someone like ran out of the room and came back in. They were like, we just got a $300,000 donation. And they thought like it was just like some random person had given that much money. I'm like, But then of course they announced it right afterwards. But yeah, I think everyone was excited because they could see that 3 million actually being like a possible reality at that point.
I knew the like kind of feeling to most people, I think, had been, if we ever get to X 0.8, like when we got to 1.8, it felt like 2 was definitely inevitable at AGDQ 2017 and everything. When we got to, it was like, if we can reach 2.8, I think we'll push for 3. Like I was pretty sure anyways, if we got to 2.8, we'd get to 3. So when we saw that happen, we were like, okay, we're running downstairs at 2.9 because the last 100,000 is going to go up so fast. It's going to be absolutely awesome. And we did. And it was just a big party for like for the last 100,000. Yeah.
I feel like it. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it was very. Actually, you go ahead first, and I think mine works better after yours.
Like 2.7 million hits the. This might be possible. 2.8, it's realistic, and then 2.9 is like this has to happen. Like it's going to happen now.
Yeah, it was very interesting, like seeing after the 3 mil was hit, and just like, you know, of course after the finale was over, and, you know, we kind of signed off the stream. It was very cool, kind of like seeing everybody like outside of the stream room and just like sitting there talking, hugging each other, like a bunch of people that like honestly like never even talked to each other normally just went up and hugged each other because like everybody was so like proud of this moment. This is like, you know, a huge moment in like GDQ's history. And for them to like kind of be a part of this experience, you know, it was just, everybody was like so happy. So like to see like hundreds of people there just out there, just like so giddy with emotion. It was really cool.
JHobz actually cracked my back when he saw me. he gave me such a genuine hug that I was like, oh, that's wonderful.
Oh wow, what this lined up so perfectly. Yeah, this is right now of me. That's water for the record. That is me standing down there when we hit it. I like was walking out of the room and just high-fiving people on my way out, and I was like, you know what, I'm staying here until every single person leaves this room. Even all high fives, or some people wanted hugs, some people wanted chest bumps, stuff like that. It was just so great. I don't know how I'm the one that's not sick. Like, I find everybody. The other thing too is it was really, you were saying everybody was like walking out in the halls afterwards and just like hugging everybody and all that. It was really great that happened because a lot of the time Saturday, I feel like I want to wake up to go say bye to everybody as they're all like leaving pretty early in the morning and everything. But because so many people were down there for the finale and got to like hug everybody and just say, you know, congrats 3 million. It was so cool. I slept so long that night. I was like, I gave everybody their hugs. It wasn't a goodbye hug, and it was a 3 million hug. So
it's better than a goodbye hug.
I think we're starting to see why JHobz didn't get sick. Lots of sleep. And I think he's probably already been exposed to every GDQ disease known to man.
Yeah,
like immune.
The rest of us were exposed all week. He just had that one time where his hand was like a hospital of grossness.
Petri dish right here.
Well, what you don't see is me like running off and immediately hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
No, I think it was pretty good. Like this week overall just felt super smooth for the most part. Like it felt like there's always, with a live event, we talked about this at the show after AGDQ, there's always some kind of fire to put out, you know, along the way. And it felt like we had fewer this time from several angles. Not every angle, but...
Right. And honestly, it was really weird, like, kind of like, you know, we're kind of going backtrack here, but go to, like, the start of, like, SGDQ planning and, like, you know, seeing, like, the start of, like, the event. Like, I'm talking about, like, when most of the staff get in, like, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that sort of thing. And for the most part, when I was there, I got there on Thursday, and for, like, the most part, I was there, like, Matt, Cool Matty, as most people know, he's basically like the director of operations for the event. He does so many things that would be like a huge list to tell, but you know, Matt's usually like very like stressed, you know, leading up to the event, making sure everything's going fine, you know, taking, you know, diagnosing whatever tech issues we may have prior to the event starting. And he was very calm, just like very calm, very chill, very relaxed. Not really like, I'm not gonna say he wasn't doing it a lot because he was, but it didn't seem like he was like stressed at all. And I was just like, everything like all right, Matt? You don't seem like worried at all. I was like, no, everything's good. So that was really like that set the tone, honestly, for like the entirety of the week. Like it was really like, for me at least, it was like easily the least stress I've ever had at a GDQ event and stuff.
Yeah, I think two of the biggest things that like, you know, people don't get to see and don't know about that probably really helped that were one was like we had been in this hotel before, right? Like I think there's always a big just extra stress ball added when you're like, okay, how is this all going to work in this place we've never been in? You know, we've been to check the place out and all that, but we've never done an event in it. We had done one here before, so I have a feeling like that was probably one nice factor. But also our setup went so amazingly well. Trey and Mark were like two of the big people coordinating setup stuff. Who are on staff and everything, and I don't know who's like who actually like made this happen or whose idea was. It was probably Hannah, so I'm just gonna give her credit right now. But we actually had volunteers shifted for setup and teardown, whereas a lot of the time, because most people arrive, you know, the Saturday before the event or whatever, we don't often shift that stuff. We're just like, oh, if there are extra people around, they can come help, but otherwise it's mostly on like staff and stuff. But we specifically had people shifted 4 times, and so that's why, yeah, getting in on like Thursday or whatever, I got in Wednesday night and woke up Thursday morning and was like, whoa, almost everything's set up already. Like, all of the super important stuff is set up. I definitely felt like that helped a lot. I think Hannah was trying to tell us.
I think she said that people were shifted.
Oh yeah, so people were shifted from noon to 8 p.m. But it was like that helped so much, just having setup go smoothly. I like you're saying, Darkman, I think that helped probably Matt be calm, and it just helped set the tone the entire week.
Yeah,
I was talking with one of the staff, and I think they said that you were at a place Thursday morning where you were usually were at on Saturday morning.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That was true, but I mean that's like a good 2 days. I mean that you were ahead of time, so I'm sure that was a good feeling.
Relieves a lot of stress.
Yeah,
definitely.
exactly.
Also to note about the B-roll and stuff, you're going to see probably a lot of like the interview area and stream room and stuff, because that's just where like we happen to be a lot of the time, like where Richard happens to be a lot of the time and stuff. But I also think that some of the, you know, stream room is where a lot of the behind the scenes stuff is that you can't see normally. So I think that's cool.
Even for attendees, most people don't see the behind the scenes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Somebody in chat had asked what the favorite pinball machine is, and I think unanimously it's Black Knight.
Black Knight 2000. Yep. So
it's
good.
just the best one. We could have played that music on loop the entire time, and
the music is so good.
It's the best. Shut off all the rest of the machine's music, put on Black Knight, and just play it the entire time.
It's music. You know, I don't really know what else to say.
Cool Maddie loves it too, and so I think like from when they were all initially set up, it was immediately all right. Like keep pumping the volume.
This is the loudest one. Yeah.
It was so great. Is it playing in the background? Is that what you said, Hannah? Oh, that's great. So yeah, apparently the music you're hearing right now is Black Knight 2000.
Nice.
Perfect.
I spent a lot of time in the pinball machine or in the pinball room, like when I wasn't in, doing other things, which still meant I didn't spend a lot of time in there, but it's where a lot of my free time went. This was the first time we had pinball back in a while, which I loved. It was just, I'm so glad that we found a pinball partner for that kind of thing. It was so great.
I was really excited. I just kept on forgetting about its existence because they closed the door in the main hallway, so I kept passing by that door thinking that it was closed. Then I'd go to the board game room, get distracted for like an hour or two, and then come back and be like, oh, I was getting food, so no time for pinball. And then I'd play a game of pinball.
Someone had a theory, right? Was it YKB or Frozen? One of you two had a theory about why that door kept getting closed.
Yeah, I thought that whoever was on Black Knight or Walking Dead was like, I'm not gonna let anyone snipe my machine, and then like would go close the door so that Frozen wouldn't come in and take it from him. Like, Frozen coming, quick, close the door.
It was actually JHobz when he got the record. He was the one closing the door so nobody could snipe the record. Right. He figured it out.
I was so excited that pinball was back, though. I played. When was the last time pinball was here? Was it SGDQ 2017? I think.
Yeah, that sounds right.
When the machines were like up in the side of the atrium area.
Yes.
I played so much pinball that year, and I think that was the year that I was like, okay, I like pinball. Someday I'm gonna own my own machine. Like this is gonna happen. And then of course, like after that, we just like. Well, I think there was pinball the next AGDQ, but after that there wasn't. And so when I heard it was coming back, they didn't make a big deal about it that I saw. It was kind of like they snuck it in the middle of like the attendance guide, like, oh, by the way, pinball's coming back. And I'm like,
so you must have missed the tweet.
Yeah, you must have missed the part where Matt just like went very fanboy and said, we're bringing back, like his first tweet, forget about the rest of the arcade, he's like, we're bringing back Black Knight 2000. That's like,
because that was the thing, was we were getting pinball back, and like I was freaking out, Matt was freaking out, but everybody else was just like, okay, cool, pinball, yay, whatever. So Matt and I were like, yes, pinball's
I was freaking out, and I like went in there the first day, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna play like every machine and like decide which one's my favorite. Right. And of course, ironically, the only one that I didn't get to play was Black Knight, because that one was always like there were people on it all the time.
Always.
I don't know if you know Jerkro, but he's really good at pinball, and so I always try to like play pinball with him at least once. And so we were able to get together the last day, and I'm like, oh, hey, what machine do you want? He's like, Black Knight. That's the one. We're playing Black Knight. we did get to play it, and it's hard, but I love it. I mean, that's a great sport. I also love The Walking Dead, which kind of surprised me because I don't necessarily like gravitate towards like a more popular, like, I don't know, mainstream TV themed one, but I just like that one. I mean, it was challenging, but not too challenging. It had some fun things to do, so I don't know.
The objectives were clear for Walking Dead. That's what I like about it. For a lot of pinball games, when you get like an objective for all the bonus points, like, okay, what did I need to do? Whereas this one was, hey, kill zombies.
Right. And it had a nice little zombie killing counter, which I love. Like, kind of like see how far along you were. So yeah, that one was my favorite by far. But I think I played every single machine in there by the end of the week. So
nice.
I was checking off the list.
Twilight Zone is also one of my like favorites. It's a classic.
That was very cool.
But the Black Knight 2000, we like determined multiple times throughout the week. We were like, yeah, Black Knight 2000 is a brutal machine. It's the kind of machine that if you had to pay for it, you would hate. You'd hate that machine. You would never play it because it would just eat your quarters. But because we're playing for free all week, it's like the best. It's so good.
So I got to play Black Knight a very few amount of times this event. and one of them I was playing with Fant. There's actually a clip of it somewhere here.
Yeah, it'll show up eventually.
It'll show up eventually, and we can bring it up. But we were doing split flipper, so one of us on the left, the other one on the right. And within about 5 seconds, we broke the machine. The pinball just got stuck, and it just didn't come down. I think that we flipped it one time. It was horribly disappointing. All right, well, I guess we're just done with pinball. That's it. We can't do it.
Well, that is pinball. It wouldn't be pinball if you didn't break it.
Right.
I mean, I did walk in there like day 2 and like half the machines were dark, and I started to get kind of worried at that point because I was like, oh, they're gonna, like, is there someone here to fix these? But then they were back up and running the next day. So whoever brought them in was doing a good job at keeping them up too, which is nice. But yeah, those things will break on the drop of a hat for sure.
Oh yeah. There's got to be somebody.
And
there.
you really have to know them to
Yeah.
fix them.
We've talked about pinball so much already. Darkman's sitting here going like, I'm not a pinball guy.
I don't care.
That's fine. So Darkman, what was your favorite like thing outside of the stream room that you were doing all week? And I already know the answer, but I'm just
You already know the answer. It was not being in the hotel. Oh, see, I got you there. Yeah, no, I was in the arcade a lot of time spent in the arcade. I think I kind of mentioned this like in our last episode before SGDQ, but I tend to like gravitate towards the arcade because it's like perfect. Because it's like if I have like something to do in like maybe a half an hour, or something like that, and like, you know, I can't really do a whole lot, so it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna go to the arcade, play a couple of games, and there you go. It's my half an hour, and then I could just go back to stream and do it.
That's what I like about the pinball room too. Is the same similar kind of thing.
Same.
So it's like the perfect distraction for me. And you know, I love rhythm games, and they have plenty of them at SGDQ. Some really good ones too. Obviously, everybody knows that I played a lot of My, which is, as everybody affectionately calls it, the washing machine game, because literally like a giant circle.
It just looks like a big washing machine. It's nuts.
But I will say, towards the end of the week, I actually gravitated off of that and went to the other new game that they had, which is called Tunitham, which is a newer game.
Bless
Honestly,
you.
Sorry, what did you say, Rosie?
I said bless you.
Oh. Tokyo Tech is literally the only people in the United States that has this, like this cab. So it's like, this is a very unique experience to get to play it, and it's like super cool. So it's like basically a piano that like you get to like move like along the piano, and you also get like lift up your hands and lift down your hands too. So it's like, it's really neat in that regards. So it was fun kind of towards the end of the week playing that some more. But yeah. I'm an arcade junkie, so I love it.
How do you pronounce that game again? Because throughout the week, I pretty much just settled on calling it Cthulhu, because I wasn't able to pronounce it, and it was close enough. Everybody understood what I meant.
Tunitham.
Tunitham, okay.
The only arcade game I played, because I usually, my arcade games are like Area 51 and stuff like that, you know, or pinball machines. So the only arcade game that I actually played was they had a little ping pong bouncing thing. They had the beer pong machine. Like let's call it what it is.
Yeah, let's call it what it is.
Scotto, yeah. Which. Like I was just looking around. I think I was looking for you, Frozen, at some point, and I right before I was gonna go to bed, and I ran into Casa, who like pulled me into the like, oh, let's go check the arcade. Little did I know he had an ulterior motive. It's like, hey, this ping pong machine is free. Why don't you play this? So I played that a little bit. I'm sad I missed the Scotto tournament because Amarilyn came in later and showed me. It was like, no. You don't play the time attack on this one, man. You gotta. It's got all these like pads and a bucket in the center, and the trick is that you, if you pick a certain mode, it'll tell you like which pads you need to hit, and so you like gotta bounce a ping pong ball and then hit the right pads. You only get like so many attempts.
That one's impossible. I tried that at AG.
Oh, it's so good. It's so cool.
It's really fun, and boy, people were as addicted to that game as any other rhythm game there. It was kind of impressive. There was one person, Hyper Resonance, from the banjo community, who sat there and just grinded it. Almost every single time I saw him, he was either going to or coming from, and usually coming from to get like a drink of water, the Scotto machine. It was really impressive. He ended up getting 222. I think my best score was like 110. So he like doubled the score, and like the like excellent people towards the end of the week probably had around like 108, which I mean, it's incredible the dedication that people have towards some of these arcade games. And I thought it was just rhythm, but it's not. Apparently, Scotto is included.
It's cool seeing Tetris machines there too, because there's a lot of crossover between some speedrunners and Tetris and stuff. So I never saw an empty chair at them, because I was gonna like sit down and at least try a little bit, but it was just like, nope, there's just people that are way better than me at Tetris constantly at these machines. So I'm just gonna let them do their thing.
Yeah, I played a little DDR, and that was pretty much it. I actually was playing because one of the things I try to do at GDQ is like find people who are good at things and then have them teach me how to do them. And so I was trying to connect with a guy who was really good at DDR so he could like tell me his secrets of how to play DDR, but we weren't able to connect, so I just played some DDR by myself. But it was fun. I used to play a lot when I was younger. But I heard also there was a racing game that people really liked. I don't remember the name of it, but there was like, they had a really nice setup with, you know, like 2 full chairs and stuff. So a lot of people were on that all week as well.
Yeah, that's Initial D.
There we go.
They had a new version of it, I believe, for the first time this event, which has brought even more excitement. That has like a huge following. It's been a thing since the first AGDQ 16 when we brought Tokyo Tech in for the first time. People love that game. I don't know what it is, but like people have like the cards that like the card reader that you can put that like saves your data and stuff like that, so that they like keep grinding and like doing whatever it is you do in that game. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, it's like basically has like a cult following, much like the rhythm games do.
Absolutely, and every single, I think probably since the arcade was first a thing, maybe the event afterwards, somebody has been running a tournament for that game. It was one of those first ones, I think even before Jubeat was having tournaments, which that's my rhythm game of choice also. I love me some Jubeat. Although I did get to play, I did doubles for DDR, which is an interesting experience, especially when you have 2 people who are not good at the game. So you're basically stumbling over each other, so you're sharing both paths and you're crossing between each of them. So you're not competing or anything, you're trying to succeed together. And so one person will be here and then we'll have to cross over, go around. I saw people who were way better than the person I played with, and one of them actually had to run around the back of the DDR pad.
Yeah, we got you playing
QB. Tense concentration by Frozen right now.
I can't believe we somehow we don't have footage of Frozen in the board game room, because it felt like if I ever needed to find Frozen throughout the week, I just walked to the board game room and he was probably
there. You did multiple times. You were like, "Oh, hey, I need to find you. I figured I'd find you here." But no.
So what board games were? Tell us about stories from the board game room, Frozen.
So my number one story, and I'm very thankful that YKB is in this call because of this. She's the one who showed me, is a game called Mountains of Madness. Now, Mountains of Madness is the game mechanically not all that fantastic. There's you basically are trying to climb up a mountain and find artifacts. And throughout this, you start going mad. And you have these madness cards that force you to do different things and make you act in different ways. For example, one of mine was I need to sit on the floor while the actions of the game are happening. So while all the chaos of the actual game is happening, I have to sit on the floor. YKB had one where she had to turn her back to the table and only communicate like that, so she couldn't see the actual objective.
I'm going to interrupt you real briefly just to explain that this clip, this guy thought that Richard, it cut away. He thought Richard was taking a picture of him, and he's taking video, and I love it. Sitting there smiling for like a solid. Sorry, continue. Yeah,
no, it's fine. And then there's other ones that are, you always have to agree with the person on your left. They made it really interesting and just so much chaos, a lot of fun. I want to find ways to integrate those madnesses into other board games. I think it'd be really fun.
Well, and the interesting thing about that is there were some people there filming, and they like walked up to us right before that like one turn, and we're like, "Hey, can we just like grab some footage of you?" And we're like, "Sure." It might get kind of crazy, and of course, that was like the turn where everything just went horribly. Like nobody knew what anyone else was saying. We were all just yelling over each other, and then we get done. We all like put down way too many cards, which is bad. And then Frozen basically like slides down in his chair, like onto the floor, just because he's like, "Oh no, I'm melting." And we're just like all laughing hysterically by that point. I don't know what the people who were taking the video thought. They're like, "Oh my god!" They were probably like backing slowly away, like, "We regret everything."
We told them just before they started filming, "Hey, this is going to be a little bit crazy," and they're like, "Great, just ham it up for us." And
we're like, "We won't." No.
We don't need to. We promise. We're not going to ham it up, and it's going to be exactly what you expect.
Right. This is 100% real.
There's going to be like a Kotaku article or some like gaming press article like 2 days from now. It's just like, you wouldn't believe what these speedrunners did in the fourth game at SGDQ.
Good lord.
That's great. Oh man, this clip. I thought about not putting this one in there because I was not strong enough to carry keys on my back carrying Kung Fu Fruit Cup.
That was a mistake and a half.
I was like, there's no way I'm even going to start to move if this is not safe. So, but yeah, when it was getting close to 3 million, everybody was just going like crazy. Wow. It was awesome. Yeah. Like we were running back and forth. I gave Keys a bat, which was a terrible idea. I don't know why I did that.
He carried it for the rest of the night too. Yeah, kept bopping me on the head.
We actually broke that bat from hitting the piñata. So like actually let me just tell like the piñata story. So very early in the week, Sumi and Raging Cherry come up to us at the interview area and are just like, "Hey, we got you this." And they just hand us this flamingo piñata filled with something. We're like, why? What?
Why not?
Why not?
Basically, yeah. They basically just like, I don't know. We saw it. It was like,
it sounded fun.
We're like, what's in it? It was like, we can't tell you. I said, is it Red Bull? No. All right. Like, I basically want to know, is it something that's gonna like spill all over the place?
Right.
So it's like, all right, we'll figure out something to do with it. So we had this piñata that we had to just be thinking about like all week, had to be thinking about. And as we were getting near the end, it was kind of perfect because like we had hit 2 million, I think in the run before the interview or like earlier in the day. We're like, all right, perfect, there we go. We're gonna do the piñata during this interview, and we'll say, oh yeah, we got 2 million. And as we were, you saw in one of the like clips that we were trying to attach it to like various objects and stuff, and like nothing was strong enough to hold this piñata. It was weirdly heavy, like probably because it was made out of like cardboard and not just paper mache or whatever. And when we were going through, all we had to break it open was this plastic bat. And I was like, okay, so Sent, you get the first crack at it because you're prize man and stuff, and you wanted to break the piñata a lot. I was like, but I'm gonna go second, and I'm gonna get a bunch of other people because I don't know if this plastic bat is gonna break open this piñata. And as I was going up for second, I was in my head, I was just like, okay, one of 3 things needs to happen here. Either I need to break open the piñata, and then the people behind me can really like tear it open. Because I was like, okay, the first like 2 acts, something needs to happen. I either need to break up the piñata or I need to break the thing that's holding the piñata. Because we had like the Little Bo Peep staff from the pre-show like holding this piñata. It was like, or I need to break the piñata off of the staff, and that one happened. So it was like, all right, something happened. Now we can just have everybody run up and just smash it. I just kind of like picked it up.
So I have a question, actually. So obviously you guys put a lot of planning into everything that happens with the pre-show and the interviews, and there's a lot of, kind of forethought that goes into all of that. But then of course there's like some spur of the moment stuff too. Like we're gonna get a piñata and we'll just throw it in there. So what would you say, like how much of it is like planned beforehand and how much of it is off the cuff?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like so all the schedule stuff has to be done ahead of time, like way ahead of time, right? And that's probably what takes the most time for interview stuff, is figuring out all the scheduling stuff, contacting runners, contacting anybody else we're interviewing, and making sure that everybody's down for it. And then it's up to the interviewer at that point how much they want to prepare. So it really kind of depends on what the interview is. Like if I'm interviewing Tomas Kerman from Doctors Without Borders, I'm going to prepare a lot for that interview. And the questions I mostly wanted to ask him were just tell us stories about what the charity means to you, as someone who works with it every single day. Because it's like, you know, I just want everybody to hear about why we do this, why Doctors Without Borders is the charity we go with and all that. But then there are other interviews like Dive Kick that actually Dark would probably put more work into Dive Kick than some of the interviews.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I put more effort into that interview than I have like any other interview in my entire life. There we go. Including interviews I've had for jobs, so there you go.
But yeah, it like sometimes you know the personality of the person that you're going to do, and most of the interviews happen before the run. So my main goal with them is usually just get at least one person who had no reason to check out that run, like they knew nothing about it, to show up and watch it. That's usually my like kind of just driving factor when I'm doing an interview. So if you have, you know, somebody like Graham Poubert on or Jesus Here's Toast at AGDQ and everything, like it's somebody with a really strong personality. You just want to let that personality shine through, right? And then someone's gonna be like, oh, this person's great, I'm gonna come back. If you have somebody who's maybe like a little more nervous runner or something, I like to ask them about the game a lot and like, hey, what's cool about the game? What's one moment we can tune in for? But sometimes you just throws out an idea for some way to transition to a prize segment, and you just warp the whole interview around it. It's great. I'd say like prize stuff mostly is what gets improvised, but sometimes the questions too, like a good question will just come to you in the moment.
From what the small experiences that I've had with the behind the scenes portions, it seems like Scent is just kind of this bag of tricks that sometimes he's just like, oh, here we go, this is what we're doing. Here's an idea just randomly about a minute before the interview.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah. That's pretty much right on. It's also kind of like I tell this all the time to like Matt and Sumi. I was just like, whenever you give us things, we'll find a way to use them. So like LLK made all the like heard about how we were going to open the pre-show and said, I want to animate a dragon. Can I do that? Can we like put a dragon in the pre-show? And I was like, sure.
Yeah. When someone asks you, can I animate a dragon? The answer is always yes.
Exactly.
100%.
Like, I have no idea how we'll do it, but sure, we'll absolutely do it. So we did that, and then Scent caught word of that, and suddenly we had like 16 new dragon animations to be used throughout interviews later that week. And that's where, like, you know, so a lot of it is kind of we ask for, or we get tools like thrown at us, and then we just go like, okay, now how can we turn this into something really cool? And I mean, we've had Frozen like in the past where I like ran down a hall and was just like, Frozen, get the Pepsi Man costume, come with me.
I literally got a call from you and it was just, hey, can you be Pepsi Man? I'm like, I already am being Pepsi Man. No, like right now.
Right now.
Come, bring the suit. Okay. And that's just kind of how I operate in general. Sure, let's. Yeah, why not?
Okay, so question, Frozen. Did you bring the Pepsi Man outfit last time, like to this JDQ, just in case?
No, I did not. I brought it to the last one, and I actually had it right next to where I was packing my suitcase, but for whatever reason, I forgot it. I'm actually quite thankful that nobody asked for anything with the Pepsi Man suit besides drunk people, but they always do. But if they did, then they would have been kind of SOL.
The I like we're getting the ping pong ball stuff now.
Yes.
So
this is Scotto.
Yeah.
For those people.
Yeah, this is so good.
That's Jerkro again. He's just good at everything. Like that's the thing about Jerkro.
Yes.
Yeah, I played pinball with him at SGDQ 2017. You're like, you're not kidding. Jerkro is great.
He's great.
Super cool. I had somewhere I was gonna go with the like pre-show and interview stuff, and I'm blanking on it now, unfortunately. But the pre-show. So the whole Skyrim gag at the beginning of the pre-show, how like the countdown faded to black and then fades up, and it's the Skyrim intro and everything. That came as an idea like sometime between AGDQ and SGDQ that like Cool Maddie just threw in a channel as a total joke. He just went like, oh yeah, this one we're gonna fade into the Skyrim intro, and I was just like, And suddenly Musical Daredevil, one of our interview producers, chimes in and is like, I actually have experience modding Skyrim. I was like, well, here we go. We're doing this now. So he actually spent so much time before the event modding Skyrim to have Spike, Keys, Kung Fu, and Feasel in that opening, and to change the like titles and everything just for like a 15-20 second gag.
Completely worth it.
Yeah. So sometimes the ideas just come out of nowhere. Like they just come from totally like places you wouldn't expect.
Like, aha, I'm just kidding, but wait, hold on. It's actually a good idea.
Well, what if we could have an animated dragon? Then yes.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, and LOK like said that because we were doing the Skyrim thing. So it's just it was just so weird. All right. Hey, how does everybody feel about taking a little break? Yeah? Yeah, seem like a good time.
I think it's a good time.
Sure, we'll take a little break. So we're just gonna run some ads and stuff here for a minute, folks. Or about 3 minutes. We'll be back. If you have like Twitch Prime and you're just sitting on it, we'd absolutely love it if you used it, or if you just subscribe to the channel. Here, bam! I've got my 2-month sub anniversary.
There we go. Look at that.
Go.
Doing it live.
Live.
Subbing to JDQ.
Doing it live. Perfect. All right. Yeah, if you don't want to see the ads and stuff, ad-free viewing, you might have to refresh after subscribing, but and also it helps us out a lot with the hotfix stuff. We basically do this on Twitch and YouTube revenue and all that. So thank you all very much, but we are going to go to an ad for just a little bit here. All right, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for hanging tight. And yeah, so continuing to talk about SGDQ, if you're just joining us, this is The Sprint. It is a bi-weekly podcast about speedrunning. We normally have like a world record breakdown segment. We talk about various news from throughout the week and everything. But a big event just happened, SGDQ, so we're just kind of talking about that for this entire episode this time. And we are just going to keep doing that now. So we haven't even touched on like the food from throughout the week, because for those who have never attended at this hotel location, there are some food options within walking distance. There's like 4 of them. There's a TGI Fridays, a Subway, like a Burger King, Dairy Queen, so I guess there's like 5 or 6, and a Taco Libre, which I think what YKB really wanted to talk about, right?
And for a total of 12 hours a week, the pizza.
Yeah.
Which I don't think I've never eaten that, and I
Okay,
Cheetah Pizza,
someone
what a
ate
wild
there.
place.
One person ate there, and they said it was inferior to frozen pizza.
Yeah, that's
My pizza's the best.
I may have eaten there.
Cheetah pizza. Oh, okay. What's your take? Your hot take?
Yeah. 2 years in a row, I may have eaten there.
Oh.
Man, what brings you back to the
The real spectacle of it. Like, first of all, they're open from 10:30 to 2. Like, if that doesn't like grab
Monday through Friday.
yes,
Yeah.
Monday
Not
through
even
Friday.
weekends.
The most
Not to it.
convenient hours.
Not 10:30 a.m. to 2 a.m. No, 10:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's 3.5 hours for you. It's just the whole spectacle. And first of all, they offer tacos and burritos when there is a Taco Libre right next door. So I'm just like kind of curious on that decision. Second of all, they're open 3.5 hours. The third of all, their pizza is not very good, suffice to say.
But how are the tacos and burritos?
So one person happened to eat a taco there.
One brave soul.
One brave soul. Angel, who's our photographer.
no.
Yeah, it was like a group trip of us, like 7 of us. Sent was there. Angel was there. Sumi was there. And yeah, Angel got a taco. He very much did not like it. And he wanted everybody else to try it. Well, not everybody, but he offered it for anybody else to try. Rib Killer was there. He tried it. Did not give a good reaction to that one. And then Set was willing to try it. And then he smelled it and said, I cannot. And that's it. That was the end of that. Set did not eat the taco.
The running joke about Cheetah Pizza for everybody who's attended at the Bloomington location is that, like, we don't know how they're still in business.
No idea.
Because anybody who's gone there has always said it's the worst option there. And there's a Burger King next door. So, like, hello, I'm sorry, the bar is not very high. And they're only open for 3.5 hours, 5 days out of the week. We're kind of pretty concerned that there might be some other operation going on in that building.
It's either that or the rent is actually like $4 a month. And
How is that possible?
But anyway, yeah. A little bit less about Cheetah Pizza, and let's talk about Taco Libre.
Let's talk about Taco
Yes.
Libre. Okay,
Great
so
place.
I was actually disappointed because I only went there 7 times in the week. And I was on pace for a good like 10, 11 at the beginning. And then I just kind of fell off the wagon somewhere midweek. I don't know what happened, but I mean, there were several people who would go there twice or even 3 times a day. If asked by enough people. We're not naming any names, Frozen.
What is Taco Libre for people who aren't familiar with the place?
So Taco Libre is like a street taco place. They have a really wide variety of different meat options. They've got some great vegetarian options. And then like Chipotle, you can get those meat options and put them in a variety of different tasty containers, whether it be a taco. They've got sandwiches, they've got burritos, they've got a taco called the machete, which is like literally this long. Comes on a huge
it's like this. It's actually the size of a machete.
It's the size of a machete. Very good. And then they have like a little salsa bar. But I mean, I'm a big fan of like Chipotle's barbacoa, but I think their barbacoa is better. It's spicy, it's flavorful. I mean, once I tried that, I was kind of sold, but their chicken was really good too. I don't know. And then the kicker is, like, I don't eat a lot, so I can go and get like 2 street tacos, and they're like $2.75. So that means I'm eating for less than $6, which, I mean, if you're eating out, that's that's a great deal. So
when you're eating out every single day for all of your meals and actually trying to eat every single meal.
Right. And then like not too bad for you as well. Like it's just kind of it's like a great option.
It was really good food, and it was the big thing was that before the event, as like staff were arriving on like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday or whatever, before everybody showed up, some people like went to the restaurant and walked in with the badges on, and when like a group of people walked in with those badges on, everybody behind the counter kind of like panicked, like, oh no.
The person at the cashier, Mike Iyama actually went there like a Thursday or something like that, and the cashier actually said out loud, "Oh my God, you guys are back!" Like, they remembered that.
All an extra staff right now.
And because they knew, I think they knew that we were coming back, but they weren't ready yet, and so like we were just like, no, Saturday, like it's this is just the people setting up. They were like, oh, thank God, because that place was packed like all week long.
It always 100% of the time there will always be 0 seats in that place.
Mm-hmm.
I've never gotten to order food and immediately sit down. I always have to stand and wait for a minute.
I think the one saving grace is that everyone at GDQ has like a slightly different schedule. And so there's not really like dinner time or lunch time that like everybody's on the same pace for it. So at least like there's a little bit of a spread out, but there definitely were times where it was like the lines going out the door and down the sidewalk, and it was always worth the wait for sure.
Mm-hmm. I know. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Darkman.
Now, I was gonna say, if you want to talk about Taco Libre more, go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to talk about the second MVP.
No, yeah, you go for it.
Go ahead.
All right. The second MVP of the event in terms of food was definitely the Caribou Coffee / Einstein Brothers Bagels combination store. That was pretty much if YKB's daily routine was Taco Libre, my daily routine was the Caribou Coffee Einstein Brothers bagels, because I am obsessed with bagels. I love bagels, and Einstein Brothers bagels are pretty decent. So I was there pretty much every day, and every day I was there was equally a long line there, just like it was a Taco Libre.
It might be longer, actually, for a lot of it.
It's true. And you know what the cool thing was similar to the story that we told about Mike going in there and they say something. Mike also went to Caribou Coffee that same day and told them about our event coming. They're like, yeah, we know already. So they were prepared.
They were prepped.
They were on point.
Yeah, which was really cool. And also something I saw really cool in that store is they have like a chalkboard in their store. And towards the later part of the event, they actually put up like, oh, hey, what's like your gamer tag? And then they put our hashtag SGDQ 2019 on the chalkboard. Oh, cool. So that was really cool. Like everybody started filling the board. Like I saw it at first when it was like, just a few names there. And then when I got there on Saturday, it was like entirely covered with people's names. So that was really neat. Like they obviously like cared. And I love bagels, so daily routine.
Yeah, it's actually funny because my love affair with Einstein Bagels starts in SGDQ 2016. When the first time we were in Minneapolis, it was like 2 blocks from an Einstein Bagels place, and so my roommate Tess and I would go like every morning, walk 2 blocks to get bagels, and then the next year it was like pretty close to the same area, so then it was more like 6 blocks, but we were still walking 6 blocks every day to go and get it. So I don't know how much consideration the GDQ hotel committee takes into the proximity of Einstein Bagels, but they really should. And they've been doing a good job so far. Yeah. I think, yeah.
I'm assuming that didn't get heard by stream, right, Hannah? Yeah, so we just got like God mic'd by our
when we all look up. That's Hannah talking to us.
I was saying the 4-H Center had a way back when had an Einstein Brothers bagels really close.
It's meant to be.
I love bagels also, but for me, I'm usually not awake early enough to go to it, or I'm awake like so early because I got to go to an interview or something, and I'm just like, no, I just want to go straight to my interview and then try to go back to bed or something. Last year though, there was 1 or 2 times where I was up all night and then went to it at like 6 a.m. the next morning. So I definitely love that place. I very much appreciated them being there. And I have a feeling some of the other places like also kind of knew that we were coming and we're getting ready, because like TGI Fridays was kind of rough last year for a lot of people, I think. And this year I went before the event and didn't have the best experience when it came to our server and the food quality and all that. But then went again like during the event, and it was like actually really, really good. So I was just like, did they just like shift all their best people for like this week because they knew they were gonna have a big crowd to handle?
That's just been kind of my experience with a lot of those style of restaurants. So it's either a hit or miss.
That's true.
Yeah, of the time.
Sometimes you're gonna have bad experience. Sometimes you're gonna be good. It happens.
Yeah, Dairy Queen was not prepared. We went there. Well, we did go there on, I think it was like Saturday night, which is busy time anyway. And then they had all the people from the other group that was at the hotel and all the GDQ people and a line of drive-through cars that was no joke, like 30 cars long.
Oh,
and they only had one person on the register. And so we basically walk in and we can barely get in the door. But to their credit, whoever they had like working the Blizzard machine was like on point because they really churned those things out fast. They basically couldn't take orders fast enough to like get them out. So they had some good people there, but they definitely have to make some adjustments for next year.
Sure.
I somehow missed the DQ rush because I went to Dairy Queen a couple times earlier in the week. And I've always been kind of like, all right, Dairy Queen's food is whatever, especially with Taco Libre right around the corner. But their ice cream is good. So I would go and get ice cream. And I went like 2 or 3 days in a row. And I thought that was going to be your Taco Libre. It was my Dairy Queen. I was like, I don't need ice cream. I'm already I already need to lose weight. But it was really good. And then I heard that Friday, Saturday or whatever, it was just slammed. And there were people like coming to their shifts right on time, just going like, don't go to Dairy Queen. I was planning to be here 20 minutes earlier. Stuff like that.
But our options were fairly limited around the hotel. You really had like 5 or 6 places that you can go to. So I want to go ahead and take this opportunity to talk about one of the places that I want outside of that radius. And my favorite place to go to pretty much in Minneapolis, because they have them, that's Raising Cane's. The greatest fast food chicken place you could ever ask for, really. It's just amazing. But I think my favorite part, I just want to tell this quick story. Ice Plug, who's an attendee, who was a runner for this event too, he ran Super Bomberman 2. He is well known as basically Raising Cane's biggest fanboy. He literally has apparel from them. He wears it every time he's here. He goes multiple times a week. So we were talking, just chatting, whatever, as people normally do. This was like Thursday or something like that, and we were getting hungry. So one of the persons I was next to happened to have a car, so he's like, "Yeah, we can go to Cane's." So I was like, "Okay, that sounds good." It was like, why not? I had it the previous night, but I was like, whatever, I'll just have it again. It was good. And I was just like, "Ice Plug, are you in?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm in." And he's like, may not eat much though, because I just went there an hour ago. So you literally went with us, and you still ate.
I was going to say, did he order the biggest meal still, the 8 tender?
No, he get the small. He actually ordered 1 chicken tender and 1 Texas toast, which I didn't even think was possible. But for a man like Ice Plug, he would know that's possible.
Yeah, he knows. He's got the strats, man. That was almost like me with Pizza Luce, because so to preface this, Frozen has a strategy that I think we've even talked about on the Sprint before, but Frozen has a strategy at GDQs, which is if you don't have a commitment coming up, like a volunteer shift or something like that, if somebody asks you to do something, you say yes. Like if somebody asks you
100% of the time. Well, as long as I know them, but yeah.
Right. Somebody asks you to go hang out somewhere or whatever, you say yes, which is an amazing strat, like super great once you know a few people and everything at these events. And so I had just gotten back from food at Taco Libre or somewhere, and then ran into the Crash Bandicoot folks that I, included into people I raced and everything throughout the week. Wait, hold on, this clip is so good.
What is this?
That was, oh wow, these ended up back to back. That was just totally random. So this is what that was. This is Trey making coffee for 3 minutes. Enjoy that. Anyways,
solid.
Anyways, yeah. So I ran into them and they were just like, "Hey, we're going out for pizza because Merkaz is from Norway. We want to show him American, a really good pizza place." And we're like, okay, sure. I just ate, but sure, I'll bounce back out and go and just get an appetizer or something. Pizza Luce, great.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of places that are outside of the immediate vicinity, did you guys do anything that was outside of the event that you found really fun, like an escape room or go to like the Ninja Warrior place that's nearby?
Who would do something like that? So I actually did a ton of stuff outside the event. Like I usually would split my day. Like I'd have one thing that I was doing outside because I live in a pretty small town. So when I'm away, I like to do some stuff that I can't do at home. Mm-hmm. And there were plenty of cool people that wanted to do stuff too. And I had a car, and so it just kind of worked out. And so, and I mentioned earlier, I really like people showing me how to do things. If they're really good at them, I like learning from them. So I went to the beach with my friends, and we got to do a floating obstacle course. Which I
didn't know Minneapolis had it.
What?
What?
I know.
I didn't know about this at all.
And we, of course, being speedrunners, all timed each other to like to do it the fastest, because of course that's what you're going to do. It was actually Shady Oak Beach, if you're wondering which one it was. Then the next day I went to the gym with Talon and Tylenol because he's a power lifter. Talon is, and so I wanted to learn how to power lift, so we did that. and then the next day I went to the American Ninja Warrior gym.
That sounds fun to me. That one sounds fun.
Butters, BB, and Caveman, and that was super fun because I've been working on my grip strength, and I love American Ninja Warrior, and so to get to try some of that stuff. I mean, we don't have a ninja gym where I live, like not even close.
I don't think that exists in a lot of places.
No. So yeah, and then I did 3 escape rooms, which was really fun.
How many did you solve? How many did you escape?
Okay, so we solved all 3, and I've done now a total of 5 ever, and I haven't lost one yet. So
ooh, nice.
We'll see. I mean 5. We're on a roll.
So I did. Oh wow, this is actually totally coincidence that YKB is our guest on this, but sometime before the event, YKB, I think you tweeted out or somebody tweeted saying like Top Golf at SGDQ or whatever. I think you did, and I just replied to that, and I was just like, hi, just gonna invite myself to this real quick, thanks.
And we never played Top Golf. That was actually one of the things that was like on the list. I had talked to Frozen about it. I'm like, we're gonna do Top Golf. Top Golf. And we never
did. You never went and played Top Golf. So I ended up getting asked by some of the Ori and the Blind Forest folks, like, hey, mini golf or Top Golf? And I was like, Top Golf.
Top Golf.
Let's go to Top Golf. It's so fun. So we went there. That was like my one day off from like staff work and stuff too. It was great. Went there, had a blast. It was so good. They have a bunch of different game modes too. For anyone who isn't familiar with Top Golf, it's like a driving range, but like a Mario Party mini game version of golf. Like,
that's such a great way to describe that.
Yeah, it really is.
There's just these gigantic buckets out on this field that, and every golf ball has like an RFID thing in it, and different buckets will give you different points. And the great thing is too that they have so many different game modes that even if you don't know what you're doing at all with golf, like you've never swung a golf club, you could still go there and have fun, and like not just, oh yay, I'm having fun. Like you can actually still randomly get really high on the scoreboard. So we did that a lot. That was super fun. And I was while I was there, I was just like, oh no, I should have seen if like YKB and Frozen people won big fun. Frozen, you were like almost.
I was about to go, and then I was just getting off shift, and I was like, I'll lay down in my bed for a minute.
Always a dangerous thing to do.
How much the minute turned into, Frozen?
About an hour, which wasn't terrible.
Okay.
And then I ended up going to this mini golf trampoline park laser tag place.
Nice.
Very interesting, but I ended up twisting my ankle during it. Almost immediately getting onto the trampoline park area, I jumped onto one of them and then went to the next. And just flopped. I was like, well, that's fun. Luckily, that recovered fast enough to allow me to go to the other types of things. Like, I went bouldering with some of the guys who were running SMW, Super Mario World, and halfway through, they decided we probably shouldn't be doing this because we have a run tomorrow morning. And we might actually hurt our wrists.
Destroying their hands right before the run.
It's fine.
But your muscles get weak. You can't tighten up for the mashing and everything.
It was. I didn't think it would be as bad as it was, but afterwards I went to this place, Ramen Kazama, which had fantastic ramen. You guys should go next year if you like ramen. And then I got like a can of Coke, Pepsi, to drink, and I couldn't actually open it. I was sitting there, I was just struggling, trying to pull it open, and I was with one of my friends who is all of 60 pounds, soaking wet, and he was like, I'll help you out. And just cracked open it. I was like, I loosened it for you.
I could totally attest to that because we were playing that Mountains of Madness game the next day, remember, Frozen? And one of the madnesses was you couldn't use your thumbs to like hold the cards. And so he was holding the cards like this, and his fingers and his hands were just like
shaking
like
the entire
cards up.
That's amazing. Darkman, did you get a chance to go out and do some fun stuff in the area?
Yeah, I would say the most significant night was I also went top golfing with a few of the classic Mega Man people. We normally there's a few of us in the community that actually go to a golf course, but the way our schedules lined up, there was really no realistic day to make that happen. So instead, we just did top golf, which is nice because like for our other friends that don't play golf, it's a good way to get them in it. So yeah, it was great. We had a great time just going to top golf. But other than that, I think for the most part I didn't really do a whole lot like out of the outside of the hotel. I kind of just like stuck around for the most part in the hotel, which actually worked out in my favor because the one day that I was thinking about like that I took as a day off, I was thinking about doing something, I actually ended up just doing absolutely nothing. And it did wonders for my energy because I'm probably the most refreshed out of all of you. Like, I am not tired at all. I'm good.
Right. I made sure to stay at the hotel an extra day so I didn't have to like rush out on Sunday with everybody. I stayed one more night and then I left on Monday. So I'm feeling good too. Like I think just so many little strategies for feeling better by the end of the week. Hannah apparently did not have the strategy work out for her. Oh yeah, because there was a show yesterday.
Yeah, Hannah had to basically come back and immediately do a show yesterday. So props to her on that, despite sleeping for the rest of the time that was there.
I love in this clip how Sumi like runs off right when she finishes singing here. If you didn't catch the singing, it was during the Kingdom Hearts 3 run. And it was everybody was saying was fantastic. It was awesome. Sumi just like runs away.
Yeah. So a funny thing about that is Sumi wasn't expecting to do like the amount of the song that she ended up doing. Like she thought she was going to do like the first like 30 seconds of it or so, but like they were like, no, keep going. And then like she literally says in the middle of her song, I don't know the rest of the words. I wasn't ready for this. So the crowd starts helping her and starts singing with her. So that was pretty cool.
That was great. Well, I think we haven't gotten to runs yet. Somehow we talked about so many other things that have been happening around the event and everything. But okay, I know all of us we've gotten to the point where we don't always catch a ton of runs because we're doing other things and all that. But who did catch a run that they want to talk about? Like, what was an awesome run for you?
Hey, I catch a lot of runs, I'll have you know. I happen to be in the stream room more than the average person because that's part of my job.
I see some runs happen because I'm there in the interview area, but I'm not often just sitting down and like listening and watching them or anything.
Yeah. I would say one of the ones that I thought was pretty underrated that like people will check out was Dive Kick. That was a great race. So it was a race between ESAM and Raging Cherry. And it literally came down to, okay, so for those who don't know how Dive Kick works, it's two buttons, you do your dive and your kick and all that. And it is first, you go against your AI and it's first to 5 points, right? So each time you kick somebody, that counts as a point, assuming you don't kick each other. That's a KO. But yeah, it's first to 5 points. And when it got to the end of the race, Cherry had been behind basically like from like 30 minutes on. It's like a 13-minute game. Cherry had been behind from 3 minutes on, but ESAM took an unfortunate death at the final boss, and because of that, they were literally down to point. Like, both of them were synced up. It was 4 points.
Wow.
They each had to, like, just kill the boss once, and that's it. The run would be over. And Cherry somehow managed to complete the comeback and sneak in the victory. So that was a really exciting race. So definitely check that one out.
And then, as I heard it at least, Esam was the first victim of the fraud stamp.
It's true. So fun fact that we did not have this planned at all. It was like, I want to say it was like Saturday or Sunday. Me and Seth were talking, and Seth was like, I think Keats, who's one of the developers of this game, can send me the fraud stamp for this game, which was, a unique thing that only like he had. I was like, that sounds good. We should do that. So yeah, sure enough, he messaged Keats, and Keats was like, yeah. So they overnighted it to us. We got it in time for that interview, and sure enough, we fraud stamped the loser, which was Esam. So, funny enough, when Seth stamped him on the forehead, the entire thing didn't come up. So instead of a fraud, he was a rod. That happens. So we made a meme out of that, of course.
Man, we used that fraud stamp so many more times the rest of the week. Did you even know, like, I ended up doing it to Keys?
I'm not surprised.
I should expect that.
What is going on? What is going on with this?
Well, like, we had Darkman come do it to Frozen when we were talking about the hotfix shows. We were talking about the sprint and everything. Just because we didn't.
Sure, why not?
We came up with a little, like, loose reason to. And then during the entire Pokemon Let's Go run, Keys-ron was on the couch for etiquette, and I was just going like, how can I fraud stamp Keys? I need an excuse to run on stage and just stamp him right on the forehead. And I felt bad because I knew he had 2 more interviews that day. So I was also like, should I? Maybe he'll, I don't know. Like, he's got 2 more interviews. Maybe he won't like that. And I was like, nah, he's going to love it. It'll be great. And at some point, he, etiquette, like, hands him one controller at the end of the run, and Keys gets the Psyduck that he was controlling killed at the end of the run. Like, Psyduck faints, and I was just like, oh, now's my chance. Ran on with the stamp, stamped it on his forehead. We had a nice zoom in at the next interview. It was so good.
Solid.
What are some other runs? All right, who's got a run they want to talk about?
Well, I watched the Super Mario Sunshine race, and that was really cool. I got a nice upfront seat for it. I feel like the Sunshine community is still really strong, and one of the things that they like, because I didn't know both of the runners, but they kind of filled me in. It was like file select versus race file timing, which was really an interesting, like, juxtaposition of the 2 runners. And so, like, people were cheering for their favorite runner, but also their favorite timing method, which is like such a nerdy, like,
only speedrunner
thing to do, And so, like, when he won, people were like, file select. But I felt like that was a really good race because it was a lot of back and forth. Like, it wasn't like sometimes in Sunshine, because a death can cost you so much time, one person can just take off with it and the other person never recovers. And on this one, like, the lead changed hands plenty of times within the course of the race. In fact, there was one time that was, a good amount into the race. I think it was like 10 minutes where they were back to, like, exactly synced. And you can always tell because it gets the shine and, like, the animation plays and they're exactly, and that's always, like, kind of cool and exciting to see because you're like, oh, this is so close. You don't, it's never as good when one person just runs away with it.
That's great. I think I got to mention the obvious one. I think this was one of the best runs of the whole week, and I think a lot of people caught it, but would totally agree. Punch Out Wii blindfolded by Zallard. Like, that was just so good. It was incredible. For anybody who didn't catch it, please go watch it. Like, go back and watch it because it was words can't really describe how just incredible that was. Zallard went in expecting to lose some of the matches and everything, and was blindfolded for the whole thing, and somehow did not lose a single match, getting all the way up to the end. And then I guess for that game, I wasn't familiar with this, but I guess to, like, get the true ending or, like, the real, like, credits or something, you have to do the final fight, like the championship bout without taking a hit. I think that was the impression I got. And because Zallard was, like, so far ahead of his estimate because he had been expecting to lose and never did, he was like, all right, I guess I'm gonna go for this. So he only lost the final fight because he like was going for it without getting hit. So I had to like actually intentionally restart the fight to do that. But outside of that, never lost a fight. I think even Donkey Kong, I don't think he lost. I don't remember, but no, yeah. Just amazing. Somehow the men like selecting the right option in the menu in that game was some of the hardest looking stuff.
Yeah, I actually met Zallard like the day before his run at Taco Libre. I know, shocker.
Of course.
But, he was talking about how that was the most difficult part, was the fact that, you know, because it's the Wii mode, so when you're pointing at things and you're blindfolded, you can't always tell like where it's pointing, and like some of the buttons have certain sounds, some of them have no sound at all. So like imagine trying to point your Wii mode at the screen blindfolded and just like hope that you're in the right spot. I mean, it brings menuing to a whole different level.
Yeah, like you think you're pointing right here, but really you're just like way over here. You know, it's just
even without a blindfold, it takes me a second to point it in the right spot.
We all know how accurate Wiimotes are, right? So it's like perfect.
Yeah, I talked to him afterwards, and he's like, "Yeah, I think I PB'd by 6 minutes, like on that run," which is like pretty incredible, especially on the GDQ stage. So to say that run went well was an understatement.
Yeah, it was so good, and like there was a little worry at first that it wasn't going to get met either, right? Like the blindfolded for that wasn't going to get met or something.
Blindfolded was. It got met pretty easily. It was the incentive for the game before that he was running with Punch Out Arcade. Yeah, that one got met at the last second.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was hanging in a room with some people, and because that was right, I think the Punch Out was like right after my run. So I was hanging in a room with some people and stuff, and I wasn't really paying that much attention. And then like looked over and watched Bald Bull and everything, and it was just whoa. we were all hooked right after that. We sat there and stared intently at the screen.
The run that I loved was Big the Cat. It's such this incredible meme that has so much energy. If you have not watched the run, I mean, the highlight is the fact that the crowd just goes off the entire time, chanting Big the Cat.
There's just like, it's not like, you don't watch the run for like the incredible display of speedrunning prowess or whatever. I mean, it was an entertaining run. It's just like, it was the crowd that really made that run happen, just like it did the last time it was at a GDQ. I think it was like AGQ 17 or 18, one or the other. Like it was the same thing. Like the crowd just went wild.
And I had been there in person for the previous run, and I remember that, but I forgot about it going into the run, and I was like, this will be good. I'm supporting friends, and then it started happening again, and everything came back. Like, all right.
Oh, that's amazing. I missed like all of Silly Block this year, so I'm gonna have to go and watch.
Yeah, I wish I got a chance to watch more of it, but unfortunately, I just can't stay up at that hour anymore. So
I caught a bit of the Kaizo relay, and that was really, really fun. Like. I'm always so amazed at like, because it's like one of the only games that also takes like physical prowess, because they have to switch chairs so many times.
I know we had a couple clips of that in here where you like zoomed in on one team just switching chairs. It's so great.
But I really think it makes it harder too, because so much of that is like muscle memory that's built up, you know, after trying the same level. And like having to take a 3-person break every time, I'm sure just makes it that much more difficult to like get through to the end, because you can't build it up as quickly.
Yeah, I mean, people like, you know, when they watch GDQs, they see this like finished product. You know, people put hundreds, if not thousands, of hours into their game practicing it. And like the Kaizo blind races are just an example of what happens when you don't have that. You know, when like you're just putting people's natural like talents to understand and adapt to the situation. And who can kind of adapt and, you know, do that faster. And it was honestly a great showcase, because like basically every like map really was close. There was no like, oh, this is really lopsided, or this team got it way ahead of the others. No, like it was very close, including one where it literally came down to they saw the orb faster than the other team. It was like 0.5 seconds of like the other team. It was a great race. I really enjoyed that one.
It was so good. Darkman and I actually also had kind of a different perspective on that one too, because we were watching from behind the scenes and everything, like at the interview area and on the stage, because we were also sitting there going, well, Super Mario Brothers 3 is supposed to be the next bonus game, and it still isn't met yet.
Yeah.
It's still like 100,000 away when it started. I think it was like $80,000 $80 away. Because this year was probably the most ambitious like bonus game pricing that it has ever been, which is exactly, I think, one of the big reasons why we hit 3 million. Like that's exactly what you want and everything. And it was just wild, because we were like running over and telling Spike at times, we're just like, don't forget SMB3's up next if people donate, like remind people to donate and all that. We're just running back and forth, constantly refreshing, looking at the total and stuff. And just going, how close are we? I don't know. So it was like watching this amazing gameplay happening on screen, but also kind of panicking a little bit, wondering if it's going to get met or not. And then just the amazing generosity of everybody eased our minds as we got to the end of that run. Is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to go ahead and take it aside on that. So big shout outs to the games committee, us. I guess full disclosure, I'm on it, but we had a lot of like hard decisions to make throughout the week with like the pricing of the incentives, and it was like Hobbs said, like we went really aggressive, and somehow it worked like every single time. This was easily the best we've ever like priced those, because that's the goal, is to like get those incentives to be hit at the last minute, because then you know that you're actually getting people to donate for that. It's not because of like, oh, I'm just donating and, you know, I can throw money to something, so I'm just gonna throw it to something. Oh, I like how I'm just shaking my head right there.
Yep, I thought that was really
funny. But yeah, it's just like, you know, we knew that like all these incentives getting hit at the last minute is because people wanted them to get hit, and they were donating like a lot of times specifically to get a hit, which is
they were high quality incentives and at the right price, where that high price where people could constantly do that. It was great.
Yeah, it worked out really well. And
I'm sure a lot of that comes from experience too, just like having done so many GDQs up to this point and kind of knowing where, because I mean, in my mind, that would be so hard to kind of hit that sweet spot for everything.
It's scary from my end, just seeing as just an attendee or volunteer non-staff. I see those gigantic incentives and I'm like, oh, is that going to get met?
But people love Ocarina of Time.
I love it.
It's I don't mean to cut you off, but I like this behind the scenes, because it really gives you a good shot of like everything that is the interview desk. We've got 6 monitors there, like 2 of which are hooked up to a computer that's at the table. One of which is hooked up to my laptop, which is also sitting there, putting a 7th monitor on that desk. And then like 1 is a stream feed and 2 are hooked up into this big camera switcher called an ATEM. And so there's like 2 mice, 2 keyboards on this thing. There's a microphone for talking to the interviewers and all that. It's really weird just how much is there, but I love it. Yeah, so other runs. Maybe I can jump in with one, but if somebody else has one.
I mean, I got plenty, but go for it.
Yeah, sure. So I saw the Celeste TAS during Task Block this year and stuff, and I'd seen Celeste TASs before. We'd seen a Celeste TAS at GDQ before and all that, and I'd watched them just in my own time. But there was something special about this one. I went and watched it in the crowd, and I was watching it with a couple people where it was their first time attending, actually. Shout outs to Brad and Brian. They were awesome. It was their first time attending. I was like, you got to watch this task, like even if you haven't played Celeste, like it's going to be so good. And then it gets to chapter 6. I think chapter 6, where there are these blocks that everybody in the community normally calls Kevin blocks, because Kevin from Power Up Audio did this noise. I love whatever your pug is doing, by the way. But Kevin from Power Up Audio did this. Hey, that's him. Did this noise, like or something for these blocks, and and because of Covert Muffin's laugh being so, like, genuine and just this big GDQ meme since his first appearance at it. Apparently Kevin went to Muffin like the day before or something, or just a couple days before, and said like, hey, you want to do something cool? And he had Muffin just laughing into a closet for like an hour. and put it all. He put it all together in an hour to get this build of Celeste that could still work with the task, which apparently was the day of even. That's incredible. And so just like watching that and then suddenly hearing Muffins laugh in the game, it was astounding. Even if you've seen a Celeste task before, please go watch that one. It was so incredible.
Yeah, I was actually hosting for Muffin for his first run. I don't remember which year it was, but like the whole time, like nobody was expecting this laugh that like he kept doing. And so by the end of the run, like all the chat was just like typing and so it's just like it was like instant JDQ meme from the very first run.
And if you ever talk to Muffin, or if you ever meet him, he's the most genuine person. Like that's just how his laugh is. It's not like
he will wahaha with like every 5 seconds. You can say something mediocrely funny and he'll genuinely be laughing at it because that's just who he is.
It's true.
All right, who's got another run?
I'll go ahead and shout out the entire Mega Man block on Friday. Yeah. Like not even just a single run, because every single run in that block just was incredible. Like I think there was maybe one death total, like intentional or unintentional death total in the entirety of the block. Like it was like that good. Everybody just did fantastic, and you really couldn't say much more. Really couldn't speak like even more highly, especially Cool Kid, who got Mega Man 2 in, found out about it like 2 days before he had to do the run because it was a backup run, and still managed to get like a time that's like better than probably like 99% of the world that actually plays the game on like 2 days of practice. So yeah, that was pretty incredible. Especially, and also to cap it off with the Mega Man 11 race. Mega Man 11 in for the first time as a race between QTT6 and Fast.cc, and both of them put on a show. So that was, it was just a fantastic block. Couldn't ask for anything more, really.
That was the only one I caught, was Mega Man 11 out of that block, and it was wild. It was so great. I got to talk to both of them individually later and just be like, "What? That race was so good." All right, Frozen, you had another one?
The only other run I watched, and it was fantastic, don't get me wrong, was Kirby Air Ride, Pair Strike, and One David J. It was a fantastic watch. Both of them were very close, and also they just have this synergy from being friends for years, and they were just roasting each other the entire time. It was just, hey, you're going to lose. No, you're going to lose, and different variations of that over and over again in a perfectly entertaining way, where if it were, I'm glad that happened at 8:30 because it actually kept me awake to watch the run.
That's great. YKB, any others you caught?
No, I most of the runs I caught were actually from the board game room.
Same.
So I did get to I did see some of the Celeste tasks, but it was mostly just like on the screen, like between turns of things.
Cool. There's so many more that I'm going to go watch. It seemed like there were just a lot of really good runs this year, like maybe even more so than normal, in terms of ones that like stood out to people. Because I got a lot of recommendations for stuff to watch. But another one I did get to catch was there were a couple more, but like Dark Souls by Catalyst was really good. Catalyst is just super entertaining. Like I'd heard his commentary before and everything, but getting to hear him just doing like a presentation effectively, like doing a performance rather, like having full control over all that was super cool. He ran into like a technical issue in it, and he had a couple problems in the run with a specific skip, but he was just super entertaining the whole time through. I thought that was great. I'm like looking at the schedule. That's why I'm like looking over here and stuff, trying to remember which ones I wanted to talk about. But on the first day, I've started going back to VODs. I went and watched Spyro, and Spyro was great. Like Chris LBC played so well, to only be I think 26 seconds off, he said, from his PB in game time is like unmatched. Like that's just so amazing in that game and everything. And Spyro is an awesome game. I love it. Sonic Generations was good. Just go back and watch.
Hobbs, you did a lot of runs, but there was one particular one I feel like you haven't talked about yet.
Don't watch that one.
Morning, 11 a.m.
And
Crash Bandicoot 3. 3 people racing that. Oh yeah, one of them was you.
Yeah. Third place. No, okay. So the crash race was super great. So the way that run went was that there's a trick we have to do twice in that run called gate clip, where we have to do some blind movement. And what I wish I had done was just taken my headset off and done it blind and completely deaf, because that's how I practiced it that way a lot, because I knew I wouldn't be able to really hear it that much. But I didn't practice it a lot with other people like doing commentary over it, and I think I just mind game myself and I messed something up. Like, I'm not blaming the other people who were doing it, but I was just like, I think I just messed myself up a little bit. So I messed up in weird ways. But I really want to take that run and cut out the gate clips for all 3 of us and just like see how it would be otherwise, because Murkaz and I are the 2 that like messed up some in gate clips. And we were talking about it after, we're like, everything else felt pretty good. Like we were really happy with our performances anyways. Still thought it was good. Cameron won in the race, which was cool, because like all 3 of us had won different practice races like leading up to the event, so we knew any one of us could take it. And so I'm just curious how close it will be if I take those out, more than anything. Not like I should have won kind of thing. Like, doing that trick is a very hard and important part of the run. But it was just it was great. I do wish that like I had not messed that stuff up, but it's hard, and you're on stage in front of a lot of people.
SGDQ.
Yeah. I'm also getting rid of almost all the runs are on YouTube now. There's a few that like just need a little bit of fixing up before they get uploaded, but almost everything's on YouTube. Feel free to check out any runs you missed up there. The crash one, unfortunately, is one that needs a little bit. We had some unfortunate trolls messing with us on Steam stuff. Steam notifications don't respect your settings apparently very well. Unfortunately.
All right.
Yeah. Crash was still fun. I thought it was good. A lot of people seemed to enjoy it. So and Spike and Sword destroyed it on commentary. Like they did really well, which was great.
There was a non-run related thing that I didn't want to talk about. I guess we didn't really get a chance to, and that was panels.
Oh yeah, panels.
So this is the 3rd time we're doing panels now. We had a few less than usual due to some last minute drops and not as many submitting. But I think what was the coolest thing is I feel like a lot of our panels were not strictly panels and more so like showcases and presentations and things like that, which is good, because I think that gives me like more like inspiration to kind of tell people, hey, you don't have to like submit like a panel. Like for instance, like one of the best examples I can give is like the Ocarina of Time community did a OOT Family Feud. So they had like teams.
That was a blast.
Yeah, it was great. Like 2 teams. They had like 4 teams in total. They just came up like did a Family Feud game, of course, like answering questions, stuff like that. That's not really a panel necessarily, but like it's cool. It fits exactly like what I want to see at a panel. So hopefully more people in the future submit that. I know like Runner Guy, who was the submitter of it, said he thought it went really well and wants to maybe submit more in the future. So I love that.
But we were at the beach and we were like, oh, time to get back for Ocarina of Time Family Feud. Like everyone there was on board with it. And I mean, of course, Runner Guy has a history of coming up with creative Ocarina of Time themed things. Even before there was a panel room, like Ocarina of Time charades was a thing for many years. That was kind of like an unofficial event that turned into an official event because so many people kept showing up to watch people act out Ocarina of Time speedrunning tricks. But I liked Family Feud as kind of like a way to switch it up. And I mean, he put a lot of work into it, and it was really fun.
Yeah, I'm not even like super familiar with OOT. I've never really played the game, so like I can't say my knowledge is very high. But just like looking at the questions and some of the things that I knew from like watching speedruns and stuff, it was really cool like to see like the like hear like the minds of like what people are thinking about. Like there was definitely like a lot of questions asking about like, oh, like what trick would you do, or like if you could do like any trick in real life, what would you do, or something like that. It was just it was really neat, just like thinking about like or seeing what people were thinking. So
yeah, I like the curveballs. Like, what do you think the Spirit Temple is made out of? Because the answers for that were varied, to say the least. So
Yeah. But one panel I also want to highlight in particular, because I know this is something that like people really talk about, you know, and it's the Games Committee panel. So we had all of the public members of the Games Committee kind of hop on and take the time to, you know, just kind of like talk about what it is that we do and also answer people's questions. So I thought that went really well. And we also did announce a few new things at the panel. The most relevant of new things being that we're actually starting at AGDQ. We're actually going to try it at AGDQ. We're going to be doing a second submission period for the first time ever, which is strictly for new games. So games that were released on or after the first submission period, we're going to be doing a second submission period for those to see if we will take something. Not guaranteed, but we will at least give the opportunity for people to submit that. So we'll see how that works out. Hopefully people will like that.
Interesting. I'll have to go back and watch that one. I actually didn't hear about that during.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I love the panels because I get to go back and watch them after. Like I never have time during the event, unfortunately, to watch them because usually involves sitting still in a room for an hour, and it's like
I can't do that. It's not allowed.
Do a thing. So I don't get a lot of time to watch them during, but I love watching them afterwards. And I love being on panels. Like I've been on, I think 3 now. Last SGDQ was on 2 of them. One of which was like a not really a panel, like Darkman was saying, like a game show. But this time I got to talk about how to avoid tilt in speedrunning. It was a panel put on by Rainbow Poogle, Roos SR, and myself. And Poogle basically just like came to me, you know, a couple months ago and said like, hey, I had this idea for a panel. Do you want to be on it? It was like, sure. I don't rage at the game too much. So
you're qualified.
Yeah. So if you've ever been curious that like, I've had people ask me in chat sometimes of just like, hey, how are you like calm when you lose this run that's 25 seconds ahead or something like that? And I went and talked about it for a long time in a panel. So when those get uploaded to YouTube, check them out. Those will still be a little bit later, I believe, right, Darkman? They require a little bit more editing stuff usually. Yeah,
so they'll have to go through editing, and I don't even have the VODs yet because that takes a few days. So I'll probably be towards the end of the month. So yeah, just keep an eye on YouTube.
Yeah, and we'll probably like mention it on a future episode of the Sprint or whatever whenever they get uploaded. But I do really enjoy like going back and watching the panels and stuff, and I thought our anti-tilt one went well. It's really cool because like a lot of times with panels you can have time for Q&A, which is great because you can prepare all that you want in a panel, but if somebody, if that's not actually the question that people wanted answered, that you're saying, then what's the point? So it's really great getting to hear exactly what people want to know. All right.
Did you guys have any experiences that we didn't get to cover, things that weren't just arcade, pinball, something that you just doesn't fit in those categories?
Well, I know you had experience, Frozen. It's probably not something you can mention.
Yeah, that's not something that I was.
Oh, no.
I was. Yeah.
You had quite a night.
But I did see somebody fall off of the balcony, which was also very interesting that night. But the one for myself, at least, is I was standing on my balcony in my room, and these pair of guys over in the corner, they shouted over and was like, "You're beautiful." I was like, "You're beautiful too." And they were like, "Oh, would you like a slice of pizza? If you come over here, we'll give you pizza." I was like, "My rule applies. Let's do it. Why the hell not?" So I went over there and I talked to them, and it turns out that they are project managers for TaskBot, which is the only community that I could possibly imagine that could use a project manager. Apparently, Dwango at one point decided, "Hey, I need a project manager." And then that project manager said, "We need a second project manager." And so there it is. I ended up talking about work-related things, and it was the most unique conversation that I've had at a GDQ, because normally I can't talk about network security at GDQs. It's not a very common thing.
I've talked with you about network security at a GDQ.
Yeah, we have. It's not that common. You're not a normal conversation, JHobz.
Fair enough. Well, I think as we're kind of, running out of things to talk about a little bit, as we I'm sure we got a few more that we can mention. But one thing I did want to say is, since like we're here, if anybody wants to ask a question in the chat, feel free. No guarantee we'll get to any of them, but like, or yours in particular, but we'll try. Feel free to ask a question and stuff.
So one other thing that I got to do is, I don't know if you guys know Jordan, Indiana. I think he shortened his name to Indy. He would play little shows at GDQs, just
he's my roommate, so yeah, I do know him.
Yeah, you may have heard of him. I don't know. And so this time he actually did a show off-site, and so a bunch of us went, and basically we like packed this little bar with speedrunners. And so he's up there, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if he'll play like a different kind of set, because he has a couple songs that are like very GDQ related. Nope, he played exactly the same songs, and all the like regular people there were very confused about why he was singing a song about water in a fitness room, which is one of his classics, which has to do with
I love that song.
Stealing the water out of the gym at the GDQ a couple of years ago because they found there was a cooler in there, or like a song about going fast. And so I just thought that was great, because it was just like everyone else in the bar was like, oh yeah, you know, just not even paying any attention to the words at all, and all the GDQ people are like singing along. And yeah, so that was kind of cool, because it's like normally you see someone in like the GDQ kind of surroundings, and then to like take that and put it in, because I think he plays all the time at like normal places, and so to put him in a different kind of setting and see kind of all the GDQ people and him in like a more normal setting, it was really cool.
For all of 60 seconds, I got to drum while Jordan was playing piano out in the hallway, because that was what we didn't mention. There was I think Magfest set up a keyboard and a little drum machine in the hallway, and people could just sit down and play on it all week and stuff. So there was like a clip of me doing it in the rotation, I think, and I got to play just a little bit with Jordan. We played some Fall Out Boy. It's fun.
So like always before, there's just been like a keyboard or a piano, right? Like was this the first time there was drums too?
Yeah, I think just most of the hotels have just happened to have a piano in them before.
No, there's somebody who brings the piano most of the time.
Okay.
At least at most of the more recent ones. The drum ones, I know that was attendee brought. I don't know who, but
so I'm just picturing. I'm just picturing in my mind like it getting a little bit bigger every year. So like next year there'll be like a guitar, then the year after someone will just like put a trumpet there.
I've been constantly trying to convince Matt that it's definitely not a bad expenditure for us to buy a Roland drum kit, and I just I want it so bad. But I did see some people asking in chat about the mascot getting introduced this year and everything, and where did that whole idea come from? Correct me if I'm wrong, Darkman, but I'm pretty sure LLK basically just said like, I want to draw a mascot.
Pretty much.
Can I do that? Like, and then people can approve it.
Yep.
That's right. It was Hannah's reminding us it was after LLK made Faith for Frame Fatale and Tree Fort and everything, and then just decided to also make one for GDQ, and then everybody fell in love with it. So we made it a thing. It's great.
I can rapid fire a lot of these questions if we want to.
Go for it.
Right. So first one we got from Salty Full 789. My question is, how do you get involved more? Easiest way is volunteering, which is straight up Hannah's department. But we do have volunteer signups that happen for each GDQ, both on-site and off-site. So if you're attending, you can do it on-site. If you're not attending, you can do off-site volunteering. So basically just follow the website for more information on when you can sign up for that. Those are application-based. We don't choose everybody because fortunately for us, which is also unfortunate because we can't choose everybody, is we do have a lot of signups and we can't choose everybody. So, but yeah, that's the best way to get involved with GDQ.
But more and more we're adding even more, because we have so many applications, we're adding in more volunteer positions like camera operators, which used to just kind of be done by Angel mostly, I think, but just staff in general, and now is actually like a volunteer position for both operating the cameras at the interview area and the main stage cameras. So volunteering is a great way to do stuff. And specifically when you volunteer on your application, you can say like, if this kind of thing ever becomes a thing, I'd love to help out with that. Like we totally read those. So
Dartoon1 says, what's something that people watching from home don't appreciate about attending in person? I mean, we can literally list
the
million.
Podcast.
That's this whole
entire thing.
That's this whole show. Like,
I think that the overarching thing for me, at least, is that it's so easy to do things with random people. I can sit down with a board game at any point and just play it with anybody, or go sit down next to somebody in the stream room and just talk about something, or play arcade games and DDR with random people. I think it's a sense of community amongst the attendees that doesn't get shown on stream.
I'll say even for what you see on stream, like if you are in the stream room, there's a different energy, like watching there in the stream room than watching on stream. Like that's why there's still runs where sometimes we have it in our hotel rooms. At the last couple events, we've had it just on the TVs in the hotel room, and I watch some runs from there. But there's some runs where I'm like, I want to watch this in the stream room, because you can like feel the electricity for something like the Punch Out Wii, which unfortunately I didn't get to watch in the stream room, or the Super Mario World blind relay, like the Kaizo levels and all that kind of thing. You can feel it. It's like going to a live sporting. It's totally different.
Why has Bloomington been the choice for SGDQ? Hotel works.
Yeah, we don't decide hotel on this call, so
They have a lot of different specialties here. YKB and myself, nothing to do with it whatsoever. Not even staff. JHobz, interviews, Darkman, a whole bunch of things that have nothing to do with choosing hotels.
Right. I would like to say that almost everybody really likes this hotel, though. I mean, and that's hard because people love to complain about the hotel. And the overall consensus is like, we've been here 2 years in a row, and there's just so many really great things about this hotel that everybody loves.
Also, World 9 helps us out a lot, and they are local to the area. And remember, too, that like these contracts are decided years in advance and all that. So,
and also, I live in Minnesota, so it's never allowed to leave.
There you go.
You used to be so close to me in Virginia, and now it's moving to Florida. I'm gonna have to start flying or drive really far.
How far overestimate would a run have to be stopped? That is a case-by-case decision. Yeah. It depends on a lot of factors, but basically what it comes down to is we have a producer that is on shift throughout the event, and it is their call as to when it stops ultimately.
Mm-hmm. I think I think like some runs it's often been, because again it depends on the length of the run and all that, and like how it's going. Has there been technical issues, or has it been more just like runner problems or something like that? I think usually like 15 minutes for kind of a longer run seems to be where, but it also depends. It
just really depends.
It depends. Yeah. If we're behind schedule, we really need to not be behind schedule. If we're ahead of schedule, you might be able to let something slide a little bit more.
Yeah. Where would you like to see a GDQ or GDQ that's not been done yet? I got nothing.
Vegas.
There we go.
Vegas.
I went there for speedrun sessions, and now I'm like, yeah, put everything in Vegas. I don't know.
I'm being selfishly, we'll say Dallas, because that's where I am. I still think that it's a good location, nice and central for everybody. Cheap for things.
For some people.
Yeah, I will say, since AGDQ is now in a place where it's warm in the winter, I'm pretty content with the places that we've been to. But...
Yeah, I have no issues with the places we've been to. I am fully trusting every single time that GDQ decides on a new location. Sometimes there's an issue with the venues, but it's overall still just a good experience.
And Orlando is like somewhere that I would have said as an answer, and since we're going there, we'll see how that goes and all that. I'm excited for it. And then California is another one that I would have said, but GDQX happened last year and is happening this year again in California, so that's pretty cool.
Can you guys do more long games per year? Chrono Trigger was awesome this year. FF9 was an awesome run last year as well. I am on the games committee, so I can answer this. We will take your feedback into consideration.
It's another one.
Practice answer.
Case by case depends kind of things, right? Like on how that schedule is shaping up and all that.
It really depends on what submissions we get. Like, because ultimately we do not ask people to submit something that we want to see or something like that. We leave it up to the community to submit what they want to submit, and then we look at that submissions and determine what our schedule is going to be based on that. So ultimately it is up to what the community wants to submit.
Somebody asked, is there a buffer between the video and broadcast to account for censoring? Go back and watch and you'll see that there's definitely not. There is not. No, there are a lot of redundancies in place to keep the stream up if technical problems happen. Like if the power goes out, which is what happened at AGDQ 2019, there's a lot of backup battery stuff to keep the internet going and the stream and all that kind of stuff. But nobody asks, like, literally all that's asked is like, hey, maybe be just like a little bit more family friendly with your words, but nobody gets like just banned for dropping an F-bomb or anything like that. It doesn't get censored. Nobody cares.
I'm pretty sure I've cursed multiple times during the run. I think I've seen it plenty of times.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if Cobra Muffin has ever gone through a GDQ run without accidentally swearing.
I've cursed on a run, and I'm on the games committee.
I cursed on a panel for emphasis. I didn't even do it by accident. I did it for emphasis.
We had a question: how are GDQ incentives priced and chosen? Data and just discussion. That's really what it comes down to. Just kind of figuring out based on like what we're at, and we also do adapt to how things are going during the week. So we do adjust our incentives if like we feel like, oh hey, we're doing better than we expected, like this last week. So we ended up increasing a lot of our incentives because we felt like we were doing a lot better than we thought we were gonna. So got to increase them prices. So yeah, it's just data and discussion. That's really what it comes down to.
And gut call sometimes when you're kind of feeling it.
That too. Ever consider having a GDQ on the West Coast? That's what GDQX is. Games Done Quick Express, September 27th through 29th at TwitchCon in San Diego. Please go.
Submissions open on 7th through the 14th.
Yes, please submit to that. I saw someone ask how many full-time members are there for these events. That's kind of a weird question because full-time is a hard thing to answer. I don't really know exactly what that means. In terms of staff, I think there's 41 people now? Mm-hmm. Yeah, 41 staff members now, which some staff members are not on site at the event. Some staff members do all of their work beforehand. Some of them do none of the work beforehand. Like staff means a wide variety of things. There's no real way to say like, oh, full-time person. Like it's harder to answer that.
Staff can be Hannah doing everything all the time, or it could be somebody who's doing enforcement on site. It's so weird.
Yeah. I'd say that most staff roles still do like a lot of stuff before events that you don't think about, though.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Even enforcement.
Yeah. Any chance AGQ will come back to the DC area? There's a non-zero chance. That's all I got for you.
We haven't even been to Orlando yet. Okay, we don't know.
I think that's all the questions that I saw for the most part. Good job, everybody.
I saw, does the arcade room have any pinball machines and which pinball machines? And let's see what I can remember from the top of my head. There was Black Knight 2000, the most important one. Twilight Zone, which was probably my second favorite there. Walking Dead, which is also awesome. Those are probably the top three, like, period. There was a Doctor Who one. There was the
Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden, yes, thank you. That's what I was thinking of. Iron Maiden one. There were three like older style ones, like not computerized ones, actual mechanical machines. One was Old Chicago, one was Centaur, and one was crap. Do you remember what the other one was, YKB?
No, that's the one I can't remember.
Okay, there was Phantom of the Opera though was also there. I think that's all of them except the one.
You forgot NASCAR because it was terrible.
Yes, I did. And for that reason. I played it once and I was just like, well, just like regular NASCAR, it took way too long and I didn't understand the appeal.
Well, and it was really easy. Like I got to replay my first time playing and I'm like, I don't even know what I did. Yeah. Like the ball went around a bunch of times and yay. Like it's doing well doesn't have the same appeal when you're like, I'm clueless about this.
Yeah, definitely. I wish I could remember the other
we'll remember it right after.
Oh, immediately. As soon as
stream goes down. Oh, that's what it was.
There was a question: how many submissions do we see on average? We had 1,500 at SGDQ, and we had to go down to about 150. So
that info is like also public during the submission process and stuff. You can check that out. And yeah, it's at this point it's less than 10% of hours submitted get accepted, which is just it's hard to get a game in. Like there's just that many people submitting, and the event's only so long.
It was like 8-ball billiards. I remembered.
Yes, that is what it was. Okay. Yeah, that's absolutely what it was. Okay.
How do you decide where games are placed in terms of time during the day? Seems like a lot are really neat, but unknown runs get pushed into the nighttime. it's just really, it's like, okay, listen, you go from 1,500 submissions to 150 games. These are like the best of the best. So everything is good. So something has to get the not as good time slot. That's just like, it's inevitable. So like, how do we do that? I don't know. It just really comes down to like, what do we think is going to be more popular? What is going to be more attention getting at like better times during the day? And also keep in mind, like, we are an international event. Half of our audience, like we've looked at statistics on this. Half of our audience is from outside of the US. So we literally have people watching from all around the world. So what may seem like a bad time slot, you still have nearly 100,000 people watching because we all operate on a 24/7 marathon. So it's really less about bad time slots and more about like, how can we maximize certain things? Like for instance, like Nintendo games, we try to maximize for like a European audience because those are like the biggest, like, you know, fans of the Nintendo games. So like things like that.
I've noticed too that sometimes you can have a game that is put in what is traditionally a like bad time slot or whatever, is a graveyard time slot, but is a very, very popular game to maybe kind of help boost that, or it's just the right like atmosphere for it. Because late night games, I always appreciate anyways when they're kind of chill, or like the runner is a little more chill and stuff, or they're a little more silly because it's 2 a.m. and I'm loopy, you know, that kind of thing. So like Final Fantasy VII one year being overnight is just like, that just makes so much sense in so many different fronts. You get more people watching at that hour than normally would maybe, and also it's a chill game that you can like go to sleep during and wake up during, that kind of thing. It's yeah.
So one of the nights I actually fell asleep to Majin Phil's run. He was doing Majora's Mask, and I told him that the next day, and I think he was a little offended. Like, no, it was a compliment. Your voice is so nice and like calm, and he's like, okay.
I've given people that compliment before, and they always have this mixed reaction, like, thank you.
You're saying I'm boring?
Oh, I love that. I always think that's a great compliment, man.
For me, that's the best compliment.
Yeah, if I'm the stream you're putting on when you're ready to relax and go to bed, like that's great. That's a huge compliment. All right, any last ones you're seeing, Darkman?
There's plenty.
Okay, we can maybe do one or two more because then we're running up against time here.
All right, so this is a popular one. How would I go to HGDQ 2020? Is there a ticketing to purchase? And if so, how do I purchase the ticket? We have a registration period, which you must register at that point in order to get yourself in. You do pay for a ticket. At a last event, it was $75, I believe it was. That gets you access here the entire week. The key with registering for a GDQ event is we have a limited registration cap. So at SGDQ, that was 2,600 slots, and it fills up very fast. We do it in 2 waves. So for past reference for SGDQ, the first wave filled out in about 5 minutes. The second wave filled out in about a couple hours. So you don't have a lot of time to kind of get in there. Now, of course, people cancel, and then they open up slots so you can register afterwards. It's just kind of hard because you don't know when people are going to cancel. So, yeah, Hannah was talking about the unofficial third wave, which happens like literally the day before or the day of registration closing, which is usually about a month or so before the event. But even that is not kind of guaranteed because like for this event, for SGDQ, it was not as pronounced. Like there were some slots open, but it wasn't like as like good as like previous events. So basically the best way to do it is to just be there the minute registration opens on either wave 1 or wave 2 and hope you get it.
And like for the record, everybody thinks about trying to keep improving the way that registration happens. At a certain level, it is just a volume problem. Like if you go and try to get tickets to PAX West, for example, it's a very similar kind of experience where you really got to just go really early. And if it doesn't happen that way, then you got to hope that more open later. And constantly we're trying to improve the process as much as we can, but it's also just a volume problem.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's it pretty much for questions.
Okay.
Good questions, everyone.
Yeah. So with that, this has been the sprint. Thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you YKB especially for being our guest this week, just talking about GDQ for a while.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah. And we'll be back in 2 weeks. Like I said, it's every 2 weeks for the show on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And normally our show, we break down some news and all that, and we break down a world record and everything, where we kind of talk about the game itself, how it is as a speedrun, and also where the time losses, where the time saves, stuff like that. There's some fun segments near the end, like Frozen's Freezer, where he likes to talk about games that deserve a resurgence, that have maybe not seen one in a while, and that kind of thing. And talk about what we do as hosts and everything with speedrunning. So we hope you guys enjoy it. Please check it out if you do. And if you have the extra money, or if you have a Twitch Prime sub hanging around or anything like that, please feel free to subscribe, because it helps us out a lot. It helps us keep doing hotfix content, and we want to keep doing more of it. So thank you all so much. We will see you in 2 weeks, or, you know, for a show tomorrow, I think. So keep into Games Done Quick. Saturday's the show. Saturday, I've been told. Saturday. What? It's a Ratchet and Clank show, but I was told Crash for some reason. But yes, on Saturday. All right, bye.
Yeah.